So God of War Ragnarok is now available. It's a game that we've been waiting years for. Although many consider the 2018 game a reboot, it's really a sequel to the original God of War trilogy and God of War saga technically. And so this new game has had a lot to live up to. I mean, there's been so much hype over the years with the trailers, the behind the scenes and interviews with directors and cast and all that. And a lot of people have just been wondering, does it live up to the hype? And in this video now, we're going to talk about that. I mean, if you don't want to see the review, let's just go ahead and spoil it for you. The game is that freaking good. Now, it's not a game that I would say, if you're on the fence of buying a PlayStation 5, if you've got a PlayStation 4, I wouldn't say it's going to be that determining factor. But if you've got a PlayStation 5, or if you're thinking about getting a PlayStation 5 to play this, then this is going to be the definitive way that you want to play this title. Anyways, all that being said, we're going to talk about in this video today none other than God of War Ragnarok. We're going to talk about the goods, the bads, the in-betweens, and all the other important details. If you want to pick up a copy of the game, links will be in the description. And also, if you enjoy the videos I put out, then make sure you like the video, sub to the channel if you haven't already, and ding the notification bell. And before we dive further into this video, I want to give a special thank you and mahalo to PlayStation for providing a review copy of God of War Ragnarok. It wouldn't have been possible without them, so I really want to greatly thank them for giving me this opportunity to cover the game. All that being said, let's go ahead and get into the review of God of War Ragnarok. The end of God of War 2018 ended on a massive reveal that changes and recontextualizes the entire adventure and journey that Kratos and Atreus had been on as they reached Jotunheim to lay to rest the ashes of Faye. They discovered that Faye was one of the last remaining giants and that Atreus is Loki, who is a prophesized warrior who is meant to lead an army to fight against Asgard and bring about Ragnarok. The prophecy also foresaw the inevitable death of Kratos, of which Atreus is unaware of, and over the course of 3 years, Atreus' Jotun magic has started to manifest itself, leading to Atreus being pulled between being the son of Kratos and being the Jotun champion, Loki. With the death of Baldur, the former winner has been brought to the Nine Realms, which leads to a vengeful Freya, as well as the advent of Thor and the Allfather Odin approaching Kratos and Atreus about a peace treaty. And with all that happening, this begins Atreus' pursuit of his destiny. Because I don't want to spoil any of the story that's told in this game, I'll be stopping here as I think you should experience the rest for yourself. Ragnarok's main campaign lasts anywhere between 25 to 30 hours roughly to complete. That's if you don't do any of the side content, of which you'll find an endless amount of that to dive into, and that's not even including the post-game content, which is substantially more fleshed out than before. The game consistently adds in a rabbit hole of customization options that include a bevy of new combat abilities and weaponry, with the skill tree system returning and developing even all the way into 15 to 20 hours into the game, which includes new weaponry. When it comes to the gameplay, it feels like a refinement of what we experienced in the first game. It feels overall tighter than what we experienced in the 2018 original, and also what we get is a bunch of new moves and abilities, which makes it feel substantially more dynamic and varied than before. The opening hour alone is just a spectacle to witness, as it gets you not only up to speed as to what has been going on in the universe, but also refamiliarizes you with the gameplay, all the while giving you several cinematic battles and boss fights, and that's just within the first hour. As Kratos, you start the game with the Leviathan axe as you did with the original 2018 game, but you'll eventually gain access to the Blades of Chaos. And as before, it's about building momentum by alternating your light and heavy attacks, as well as calling in Atreus for the assist. In the previous game, you were fighting constant swarms of Draugrs, whereas now you'll be fighting a variety of enemies, each unique to one of the Nine Realms that you'll be challenging, and it'll push you to switch up your tactics and never allow you to really feel comfortable. There are some repeated mini bosses within the first few hours, which can be jarring when you compare it to the variety of enemies that you'll eventually be facing over the course of the adventure. And even more oddly is the fact that you'll be able to use the same tactics over and over for those first few mini bosses that you fight. Where this game shocked me was when, after several hours in, it shifted gears and put me in control of Atreus. This is not only a welcome change from a gameplay perspective, but it's also narratively brilliant, as it gives the story an added layer of complexity and showcases the duality of the boy. Atreus is no Kratos, and so his gameplay style is vastly different from that of his father, and thus he relies on the usage of his bow and powers. You'll get new companions along the way that change up the flow of the gameplay, as both Kratos and Atreus will eventually end up paired with returning characters and new characters, which changes the gameplay and also adds additional layers to the overall narrative being told. When it comes to the graphics, the game honestly delivers in a substantial way over the previous game and just the scope of how it all looks. The 2018 entry was already a stunning looking game that was in many ways the best looking game on the PlayStation 4 for several years, and yet in Ragnarok it manages to look even better, with not only the minute details and the characters and environments being much better, but also the general scope of the entire game. Kratos' model has been given a stunning number of additional details within it, which you can see the minute details of his worn face, the scars, and the pores on their skin, the details of the beard, and just so much more. Atreus' model is now older and shows extra detail in his hair and clothing, as well as his scars and more. The way the character model's skin reacts to movement and creases and flows is just stunning when compared to the static nature of the skin texture in the 2018 game. The environments are also amazing, from frozen lakes to the snowy mountains and even swampy areas. They all look near photorealistic, especially if you've got a monitor or TV that can showcase all the details. What I love about this game is in how alive this world felt in comparison to previous God of War titles, as you will see settlements within the Dwarven realm and meet numerous characters and their civilizations within Vanaheim and even Asgard. The game offers up both a performance mode and a fidelity mode, with each one giving you the option to adjust things as you want. And if you're playing on the PlayStation 5, then by default, it can push over 60 frames per second in both modes if you have a monitor or TV that supports HDMI 2.1, getting you a variable refresh rate that goes between 70 to 90 frames per second. While the game doesn't look like a massive generational jump from the 2018 original to this one, it does still look incredible, especially with the monitor supporting HDMI 2.1. The soundtrack is glorious and just goes to show that Bear McCreary knows how to make an OST that just hits on all levels, with how it can pump you up for a fight and make you feel a spectrum of emotions when something somber happens. The voice cast really takes their performance to a new level, with Christopher Judge cementing himself as worthy of being the God of War, and Sonny Soldier giving an absolutely stunning performance as Atreus. What I love the most of this voice cast is the performance of Richard Schiff, who brings to life Odin in a way that we've never seen before, by making Odin come off in a way that is slimy and schwarmy, that's almost like Game of Thrones like, with his cunningness and derangement. So you might be wondering, what are the downsides to God of War Ragnarok? And they're not that many. Honestly, the main downsides that I see with this game is it can feel a bit samey. Like it doesn't feel like a true evolutionary leap, gameplay or performance wise, over the 2018 original. Like it just feels more like a refinement overall than anything else. And then when it comes to the way the game looks, if you're playing this on the PlayStation 5 and you've got a TV that supports an HDMI 2.1, it looks absolutely stunning regardless of whether you're in performance or fidelity mode. But if you're on the PlayStation 4, it only marginally looks better than the 2018 original. And so with that being said, it brings us back to a lot of the issues we've been having with the PlayStation ecosystem as a whole. And that said, there's so many games that should just be a PlayStation 5 title, and you can see that they're very much being held back by having to be backwards compatible with the PlayStation 4. So hopefully this is the last title from Sony that's going to be a backwards compatible title, and that we can start focusing on showcasing what the PlayStation 5 can actually do. The only other negative I can bring up is the fact that, yeah, the game kind of at points feels like it's drudging on, and at points where you think it should wrap up, it doesn't. Although the ending is worthwhile, but beyond that, yeah, it's it could have done with some additional editing to trim the fat of the length of the title. Now, in ending up this review, God of War Ragnarok, it honestly doesn't live up to the overwhelming hype that it's been hyped up to by the mainstream gaming outlets. And yet on the same hand, it does deliver with a solid story and even more impressive gameplay. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it also never needed to, as it just needed to follow up on the plot threads and gameplay of the 2018 original. And it needed to continue the story of Kratos and his development beyond being the exhausted God of War. While the game doesn't really push the PlayStation 5 hardware as hard as it could, or really hard at all, being that it is a cross-generational title, it is still an amazing adventure and even more so an amazing send-off for the PlayStation 4, I hope, and a welcome reason to own a PlayStation 5 if you are able to play it on there. And that's it. That's the review for God of War Ragnarok. Again, thank you Mahalo to PlayStation 4 providing a review copy of the game. What was your experience with this title? Is this something that you've been expecting for the longest? Is it a game that, you know, for you, did it live up to the hype, or was it just, you know, a little overhyped? Whatever your thoughts are, let's go ahead and get the conversation going in the comment section down below. And if you want to pick up a copy of the game, I will have affiliate links down in the description below. You know, if you pick it up, no additional cost to you, but it does help out the channel. And another way to help out the channel is if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like it, sub to the channel if you haven't already, and ding the notification bell. And if you want to help it further, then we also have channel memberships as well as Patreon, which gives you early and exclusive access and behind the scenes on a lot of things that are in the pipeline. So all that being said, I hope you guys have a great and aloha rest of your day. Stay safe, be blessed, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.